music is the food of love, let us feast. What's going on, people? This is Akala, and this week's classic album. You know when you've made a song that the whole world knows, or should know, because you know there's some people that are going to call themselves rappers that won't know The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, which is poor. But you know when you've made a song that's world famous, and it's probably not even the best song on that album. That's the level of artistry we're talking about when we talk about Gil Scott-Heron. We're talking about one of the founding fathers of the modern art of MCing, because people have been rapping for maybe even hundreds of years, arguably. Certainly, we could play you rap from the 1920s, 1930s, people like the Golden Gate Quartet, for example, many of the barbershop quartets. But Gil Scott-Heron was really a man, incredible artist, pioneering for year after year, fiercely outspoken, kind of a post-civil rights, post-Black Power era when really artists were looked to in a way that in many ways was unfair. Gil Scott-Heron was one of the few people that was able to step up to the challenge and really articulate the frustrations of what it was to be black and poor in America in this particular period. All of the politics aside, the man was just an incredible poet, incredible musician. And this particular album is his most famous album. It's not his only great album. It's got several great records. But let's just run down, those of you who should know some of the track listing, but you look at this album, you're talking about songs like Lady Day and John Coltrane on it, Save the Children, Whitey on the Moon, Get Out of the Ghetto Blues. Like, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised is the famous song for me. Whitey on the Moon or Lady Day and John Coltrane might be, or Home Is Where the Hatred Is. I didn't even, you know, you're just looking at them names and you think, it shows you the power, I suppose, of what's perceived as a hit. Because I don't necessarily think that's the best tune. Let's be quite clear, Revolution Will Not Be Televised is a fantastic song. But I really think that the fact that it's arguably not even the best song on this album, and it's one of the defining songs of the 20th century, really, to the point it's become a catchphrase, really says everything about this man. Without this man, and you know, there were a couple other poets in his era, namely the Last Poets and the What's Prophets. Without that kind of triad of early rappers, if you like, there were a few others, Pigmeat Markham, you know, we know the stuff. But more than any other person of that era, I think Gil Scott-Heron paved the way for the likes of Public Enemy, for the consciousness that would come in hip-hop, and really stylistically just added a voice to African-American, Black American music that just is absolutely legendary. We know he was, you know, a man who had a lot of kind of individual problems, which we spoke about. He spoke about, you know, quite publicly. He had a long-standing battle with drugs and things of that nature, which, hey, growing up in the time and in the circumstances that he grew, life's hard enough as it is, let alone, you know, growing up in segregation and seeing all your political leaders assassinated and things of that nature. But nonetheless, maintain his integrity for his entire career. I really can't say enough about this man and about this album. This week's classic album is Gil Scott-Heron, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Big up. If music is the food of love, let us feast.